now I'm going to talk about how guilty we are, you and I, of this entire situation with the ultra high end. Let me give you an example, and I'm going to bring up two well-known companies, speaker manufacturer, that is, two of them. Wilson Audio right next to me, Magico speakers, which I had here multiple times. Here are two different companies that approach sound reproduction in total opposite ways. Okay. One of the criticisms that Wilson Audio has are their drivers. All those drivers are there. These are Focal woofers. Okay, the XLF, those were their woofers. Focal used to build these. And then you have the mid-range driver and you have the Softeman tweeter. Okay, these are built by Wilson Audio. Anyway, one of the criticisms is the fact that their drivers are relatively cheap. $200, $250, $300 for a tweeter, more or less. I tried to go into their website, by the way, guys, and I couldn't find prices on their drivers. It seems that they have removed it. It could have been due to the pandemic. Maybe they have a shortage of drivers. I'm being told it takes 2 to 3 months to get a tweeter right now from Wilson Audio. But I remember going in there back in the day when I had my Wilson Audio DAWs and the Alexias, and I remember the drivers being relatively affordable. Nothing crazy. $200, $300 for a tweeter. Woofers were more, but the tweeters were approximately around that price. So that's one thing that people hated, the fact that the part was not $1,000. Now, the argument is Wilson is charging this kind of money for a speaker and their drivers are nothing special, right? Now, hear me out. Hear me out. So, moving on to Magico. Great construction. We know that they are doing great things over at Magico in California. Nobody's going to deny that. They are doing something that nobody else does in terms of their cabinets, in terms of their driver technology. Nobody can take that away from Magico. I know they've spent a ton of money in all sorts of tools and measuring devices that is going to allow us to get even better sound reproduction going forward. Okay, so now let's talk about their drivers. Now, if you have an M series speaker, in case you didn't know, and you blow a tweeter, the entire speaker needs to travel back to California, which, I hate to break it to you, will not be cheap. You're talking a lot of money. Depending on the kind of discount that you have, if you are an end user like myself, you probably are looking at anywhere from $800 for one way, $800 to $1,000 with insurance per speaker. The drivers themselves tend to be, I think, the M2 driver and potentially the M3 tweeter. M2 tweeter and the M3 tweeter, I believe it's roughly about $2,500 to $3,000 for one tweeter. Okay? It's $120 per hour of labor. On average, they're usually quoting about 3 hours of labor, so you're looking at $360. So here you have it. Let's do the math. $2,500 for the tweeter, for the part, $360 for 3 hours of labor. That's $2,860. And then you add the return round trip, basically, the round trip. So you're looking at approximately $5,000 to $5,500. Okay, that's for one speaker, not two. So you're looking, let's just call it $5,000. Let's just say it's $45,000 to $5,000. That's one speaker. Now, we just talked about how much it would cost to replace a driver on a Wilson Audio speaker. $200, $300. They mail you the part. And you can solder it yourself or have a technician come into your house, take off the module, do it on a perfect flat surface, and you're back up and running. Magico, not so fast. Magico, you'll have to spend a lot more money to get the same results. But they have amazing drivers. You guys preach Magico's drivers, and I am the first one to say, amazing, no question about it. But you see how you have two different ways of approaching the conversation, approaching sound reproduction. We criticize Wilson Audio, but we don't criticize them when we only have to pay $300 to $350 to fix a blown driver, a blown tweeter. We don't complain, right? We're not opening our mouths. We're not, at that point, nobody's throwing a fit, right? But we're criticizing them for having cheap drivers, except when we have to pay for a blown driver. Then you have Magico, that's giving you those drivers that we all want. A lot of technology, a lot of research and development on those drivers. We know this. Amazing. The drivers on the A5, the M series drivers, amazing. But when we have to pay to replace them, what happens? Now we're bitching and moaning and complaining. So you see how we're guilty as well of the conversation? We can't seem to... The manufacturers also cannot win the conversation. I just demonstrated it to you. They can't win one way or the other. If it's too cheap, the drivers are too cheap. But if the drivers are expensive, it's too expensive to fix them. We are also contributing to this entire situation with prices. We are guilty of it. We are just as guilty. They wouldn't be building all these brands that we're talking about. They wouldn't be building the ultra high end if I didn't buy them, if you guys didn't buy them, if nobody bought them. They wouldn't be building them. Why would they? There wouldn't be money. There wouldn't be any money to be made. So, as consumers, we're also contributing factors, and we also dictate what the manufacturer's next move will be. We, believe it or not, have an indirect effect on this. We do. Now, of course, what could we do? Not buy ultra high end anymore, refuse to pay, so they are forced to not continuing to building expensive products? I don't know. Is that an option? I mean, is this Cuba and communist country? I don't know. Can we do that as consumers? Can we just not buy anymore ultra high end? And then if they have no sales, they have no reason to build expensive stuff? You tell me, is that even an option? I don't know. Now, another example of this is the fact that you have some stores that don't take any credit cards as method of payment. I know of one store in California that they don't take any credit cards. It's all either wire transfer, a check, or cash. Not even cash. Nothing else. Wire transfer or check. I was told by them, we don't take credit cards. We don't need to with the customers that we do business with. So you see what I'm saying? So you see how we are adding more fuel to that fire? Now you have a store that maybe I have the money, maybe I have the money to buy the product, cash, but I don't want to. Maybe I want to use a credit card because I like the fact that they're giving me 0% for 12 months and I can pay it over 12 months comfortably. Maybe I don't want to go to my bank and withdraw $100,000. Maybe that money is making me money on Bitcoin and I don't need to pull it out. That's what credit cards are for. But no, this store said we don't need it. We are good. We are fine. We are basically rolling in dough. So, and who's creating that environment? It's not the brands. It's not the store. It's us. We are, because we're buying like this. We are doing this. If they couldn't do it, they wouldn't be doing it. But we are facilitating those practices. We as consumers. Does that make sense? So we can't be bitching and moaning about this entire madness of how expensive things are. Now, lastly, I want to say this. There's always a lot of conversations about cheaper, more affordable products being, oh my God, you can find a speaker for a tenth of the price that beats the Wilson Audio XLFs here. So you're telling me that I can find a speaker for $20,000 that can beat a $200,000 XLF. Where is it? I'll give you $20,000 right now. Where is it? But if it doesn't beat it, you're going to take it back. And I'm not talking about, well, it didn't beat it, but it was no 10 times better what we heard through the XLF. That's not the conversation. I am not here to say, well, if you pay 10 times the amount, you should get 10 times the performance. That's not how it works, guys. The law of diminishing returns is real. What I usually go by is product A better than product B? And I don't even think about, is it slightly better? Is it 5% better? No, that's not how I answer questions. Is it a yes or is it a no? So far, there's always a lot of conversation about better products for far less money. How come I haven't met any of these products? Why hasn't anyone introduced me to them? Why? My email is always, and it's going to be down there on the description of this video below. It's going to be down there. Why hasn't any brand reached out to me? Prove it to me. If you believe you have a product, any product, speakers, preamps, amplifiers, you name it, cables, that beats these ultra high-end brands that I typically display, please reach out to me. Let me introduce the masses to your great product. Let me tell the whole world, don't buy a $100,000 amplifier. Let me show you a $20,000 amplifier that can completely annihilate this other $100,000 amplifier. My email is always down below. I mean, I don't understand what else I need to say to be vocal about this. Right? I really do not know. I mean, I am being extremely vocal about this, and if you see a lot of passion in what I'm saying, is because this entire situation with ultra high end, we are all guilty of it, including me. Okay? Now, in closing, I wanted to make sure I say this. Mike OCD, who is the person that released the video that you just saw in the beginning, will be here. And in case you do not know who he is, you can look him up on YouTube. He is a big advocate on value and performance. So he looks at the performance factor of a product as well as the value. And he always tries to find the best at each particular price point. Now, you know, as I mentioned earlier, I don't care about the price point so much. Of course, I have a limitation, but for the most part, I don't care about it. I just want the best performance. Well, I wanted to say it here. Mike will be here in my room this coming weekend, and you will get his impressions for the first time of this system right behind me. I plan to do a video with him, and I want the whole world to watch this, because for the first time, I get to show someone else who has a different drive and a different mentality when it comes to audio, something different, something that they may not necessarily be used to. And I want to see what he has to say, and I think a lot of you guys will find that very, very interesting. Well, that's all I got for today, guys. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for all the love and the support. And if you have any comments about what I just said today, leave them below. Let's have a positive, clean, healthy discussion underneath. Please leave me all your comments. I want to hear from each and every one of you, and do not forget to like the video.